I'm gonna take a sip of my off-brand coconut water. You can't tell what it is, but it's really good.
Jesus, I didn't even give an introduction yet.
Yeah, who are we talking to here?
I don't know. Who are we
You're
talking
Max
to?
Williams.
We're talking to Max, and this is wow, such a rough way to start, but this is episode 8, and we're shooting the shit. I have my good buddy Chris Mathien on here. How you doing, Chris?
Super good.
Holy cow!
Yeah, wow, we're here.
We're here. We're live. All right. So, I guess I'll start it same way I start everything else. Chris.
Yeah?
I know him because we met at SoFar, and I guess we like kind of hit it off at SoFar.
I'd say.
And have been pretty good friends since. We found out that I'm in Wheaton, Illinois, and we found out we grew up in the same area, and I think we connected over that, and I found out a crap ton more stuff. Wow, I just really said crap.
We'll bleep it out. We'll bleep it out.
God dang it.
Yeah, we're gonna bleep that out too.
I said God. Sorry.
Is that bad?
Maybe in Wheaton it is.
Yeah. All right. So take it easy.
I might get the Wheatonites might yell at me, but
they're not so bad. It's not. It's like a few people fucking it up for the whole bunch.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's like when you have a gang problem in your town. It's like, oh man, town has a gang problem, but really it's like 5 dudes who are screwing it up. Yeah. Wheaton has a gang problem, is what I'm saying.
A religious gang problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah, I try to avoid it at all costs. I don't think I'm too religiously affiliated myself.
Me neither. I'm not, but and I used to be sort of more like angry and like, why are people judging me? I'm not going to your church. but like now that I'm a little older, I might if someone invited me to go to their church, I might go. And also, and maybe there's some value there. I don't know, but from my experience, I didn't really have a good experience in churches, but I did. Like I said, I felt like I went through a period, like in high school and after high school, where I was like kind of angry, and and I don't feel that way about it now because I think some people like need church.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think I share that same thing. I think I was definitely angry at it for a little bit.
It's annoying.
It is.
But
I was like little, and my parents like I remember we didn't really go that often. It's like I feel like it's bad to say, but like we went like every now and then. I'm going to hell. Dang it. Shouldn't have revealed that info. And then I think I just always felt bored by it. I was like, this is boring, and I don't want to do this when I'm older.
Yeah.
And then I just didn't end up going, and then now I like kind of find myself in the middle of it again since I'm filming weddings. But I had like a weird experience.
Do you ever if you were like shooting a wedding and then you just like run into the confessional real quick and start spilling your guts?
I wish. It's kind of like I feel the same boredom I once felt all over again. It kind of like makes me relive my boredom. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's a strange feeling. I remember when I first came out to Wheaton, though. I don't know if I ever told you this. I went on a bike ride. I don't know why. I used to ride bikes a lot, and I went on a bike ride with my brother, and he had a broken arm at the time.
Dang.
And we rode through Memorial Park, specifically in Wheaton, and some guy stopped by, like in passing on his bike, and like had the Bible like readily accessible, like in his like coat pocket.
He had a holster.
And Yeah, he came out and he's like, I mean, it's a nice gesture if you're religious. I'm not gonna say it's bad, but
I feel like sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I feel like if I was religious and someone like came out with a Bible, I'd be like, yeah, I know. I already know. Come on. I'm not one of them. You go talk to someone else about that.
That's the thing. They always I feel like that was the impression I got when I moved down here is people were trying to convert you or bring you into their into their religion. Because I've had this experience about 3 different times since I've lived here.
Mm-hmm.
I had it. So that guy stopped us and he's like, "Can I say a quick prayer for your arm that's broken to my brother?" And we were like, "You know what? Sure."
Yeah.
So we let him do it. But I was just upset because after he did it, he had to go on his whole spiel with his religion and why we should follow this and that, and it rubbed me the wrong way.
Right, but Max, how's your brother's arm? Is it all better?
I mean, it's better. The prayer worked.
Yeah. So.
I mean, he kind of won this situation.
What an amazing man. Who was he? Where's Memorial Park? Seriously, I remember. I think I'm thinking of Adams Park, which is right downtown, right?
Maybe it wasn't. It was the park that's runs up against the library. Maybe that's not Memorial.
The library in downtown Wheaton. Yeah, I think you're thinking of Adams Park.
That's Adams Park. Yeah, Adams Park.
That was a very there's a lot of marijuana sales going on in that park when I was a youngster.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It couldn't be now.
Yeah, because you get to go to the store now to buy weed.
Yeah.
We had to do it the old-fashioned way when I was a kid.
Jeez. I couldn't see that happening there now. No way.
We used to go there, and then we used to buy weed from Jack Straw's, the pizza place.
Yeah, did you know that place is closed now? Completely?
Probably because they legalized weed. Put them out of business.
Such good pizza.
Yeah, that's too bad about Jack Straw's because that place was awesome.
I hope some listeners that are not from Wheaton are getting a little taste of Wheaton from this conversation at least. I hope it's hope it resonates.
I was watching before we did this, I was watching a roast, Comedy Central roast.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was just roasting Jack Straw's a little bit, and I feel bad.
I mean, rightfully so.
Yeah, it was rude. But I was influenced because I watched so many of these mean jokes, and now I feel like my jokes are mean right now, and I should chill.
I mean, you can make as many jokes as you want, and I'm not gonna give you any shit for it.
Okay, cool. All right, great.
This is a pretty open podcast here.
All right, man. That's a load
Just
off
here
my
to shoot
mind.
the shit.
Hey, let me ask you some
questions. Taking a deep breath.
Yeah, do you ever meditate?
No, I've never done it. I have friends that do it. Do you meditate?
I've done it. Yeah.
I feel indifferent about it is probably the best way to put it.
If you actually do it, you get it. Do you get stressed out?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're stressed out and then you meditate, it's the things you can do to just erase the stress immediately. Well, it's not immediate because you got to sit there for a while. But it actually just if you get really good at it, I do some breathing techniques that help with stress, and I can really I think if I got good at meditating that I could just get rid of it altogether.
I think I tried the breathing exercises once before. Someone told me about it and I didn't think it was real, but I Googled it and I don't remember what it was, but I definitely tried it and it I feel like it makes your blood stop flowing like crazy and you just calm down a little bit.
Yeah, well, I think your body does it naturally too, because when you're stressed out, you yawn and you sigh.
Yeah.
So it's just these different kinds of exhales that your body is forcing out. So So yeah, I've done the weird like tantric breathing exercises that Russell Brand does before he speaks. You ever watch any of his comedy specials? He's like backstage going
That's so funny.
Yeah. That puts him into a calm state though, and then you're not so wigged out. Being on stage is scary sometimes.
Yeah, what do you do? Like, I remember one time I talked to you about this, about what you do before you get on stage, and you were telling me, like, I've heard a couple different things from you actually. I think
depending on my mood that day, whatever.
Yeah, you were like, you definitely were in another mood. That last show that I went to of yours, I don't remember what it was, like that upstairs venue. I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah,
Bourbon on Division, maybe. And I think you at that show you told me you wanted to go in the green room before it because you needed to like chill out and like not talk to anybody before it.
Yeah, I had ran into this because I'm really sociable, and I ran into this problem where I would use my voice too much before I went on stage because I was walking around talking to people, and it's not good because it takes away from your allure as an artist. Should be the thing where you go see the show and you're like, whoa, is this guy even here? And then his band comes out and you're like, whoa, is this guy even here? And then like, second song in, come down from the stage on a rope, singing Broadway. I don't know. Where it's like this big spectacle, and I sort of wanted to do that, and then come at the very, when the show started. This is
be like one of those acrobats people.
Yeah, I actually have a cousin who does that stuff.
It could be you next. That's how you come into your shows in 2021.
Or we can just film it and have him do it, and then we'll do a deep fake.
I was just watching a video on deepfakes today. I just this morning learned about deepfakes.
Yeah, deepfakes are cool. I want someone to do a deepfake of me.
There was this one I just looked up on TikTok because I found out I got behind it today. There's this one called Deep Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Did you see that one?
Yeah, dude, it's just like Tom Cruise. It's totally something he would do.
It's so weird. All the comments are like, wait, is this Tom Cruise? Tom Cruise is actually doing this? I'm like, are you kidding me, man?
Dude, maybe him jumping on the couch at Oprah's thing was deep fake, because that looks fucking crazy.
Oh my god. And it's crazy. The video I was watching, it's this YouTuber named Jarvis that I watch, and he was talking about how technology's so good now that people are going frame by frame to like make these like certain like looks on their faces, and they're editing it, and like the editing has got so good now that people can make this so realistic, and it's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah, because it's definitely scary. Like someone could really doctor up something incriminating at some point,
Yeah, that's. They should
like here's Max Williams. Oh, look, there's Max Williams doing the insurrection. He's breached the Capitol.
Could never be me.
Yeah, but if they did a deep fake,
then I'd be exposed and canceled, and then because cancel culture.
Oh, how?
It'd be like an instant cancel.
Oh, for you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll see. We'll see if some of these cancellations will stand the test of time, because maybe some of these insurrectionists will, like the guy with the horns, with the raccoon thing.
Oh yeah.
Like I could see him doing a podcast and then just getting millions and millions of listeners listening to it.
Because of how many people hate him.
There's probably people that like him. There's probably a lot of people that like him. There's a lot of people that are behind all that shit. They're all for everything that happened that day. It's like a big chunk of America was like, yeah,
I know.
We did it. That is wild.
It's so upsetting.
Yeah.
It's so upsetting. I can't like erase it from my mind either. That's the
Sorry
worst
to
part.
bring it up.
I forget about it. Yeah, let's not. Jeez, we went from talking about Chris coming into a show on a rope to this. How did that happen?
Me coming into a show on a rope is sort of like an insurrection.
We talked about deepfakes. That's why.
Yeah. So I was talking too much before shows and like basically ruining my voice or not preserving my voice. So then when I would sing halfway through the show, I'd be like, oh man, I'm not singing very good. Straight up.
Yeah, I think that's what you told me. And then I don't know if it was. I think it was you that told me this. Where like before a show, you'll like practice your vowels, where you like do like the vowel exercise.
Yeah, I do a lot of warm ups the day of. Like pretty much right when I wake up, I start singing. If I'm doing a show.
Is that a dumb question to ask? Like what that does as opposed to not doing it?
It just does. It loosens everything up, and it just gets your voice used to singing, so that I don't know. Your voice is like an old accordion. It's like sitting in an attic, basically every day. Every day you wake up, that's what it's like, and then you gotta go up into the attic. You gotta take the accordion out. You gotta fucking dust it off, and then you gotta play it a while. And maybe you start playing it at the very beginning, and the wind's not shooting through it good enough, and you kind of find some more dust in there, and you figure it out, and you start playing it more and more, and then, mid-afternoon it has a nice full sound. That's like what your voice is like. Your voice is an instrument.
Yeah.
And then you go to sleep, and your allergies are all shitty in the morning. Your throat is dry. Like, so I gotta drink tea and soup and all that. Yep.
Do you have a preferred go-to drink before a show?
I like tequila or whiskey, and
nice,
and like just like a little bit. I've definitely pushed the limit on that one before. Trust me, it's not. Sometimes when I was younger, people used to say I would get real drunk and play, and they'd be like, "That's amazing," but it's not so amazing when you get a little older.
It's different.
Or if you've done it, or if you've just like, I don't know. I've seen people who were so rehearsed that they like couldn't walk. Mm-hmm. They couldn't walk before they went on stage, or they couldn't talk. But then they went on stage, and then it was like perfect performance.
What in the world?
I opened for a pretty big '90s band. I won't say who.
Who were they?
I won't say who it is because it concerns the lead singer's alcoholism, and I don't want to really.
Okay. Gotta respect the privacy.
Yeah. But this guy, dude was off the shits, man. Like, really. Yeah. He was probably like, in sort of concert settings, he was maybe the drunkest person I'd ever seen who was about to perform.
Oh my God.
I've seen some pretty drunk people, I think. And
yeah.
I sort of in my head, I was so cocky that I sort of thought, oh, this is going to be good because we're opening up for this band. We were about to go on stage, and I knew then, I was like, oh, he's hammered, so, we're going to kill it, and then he's going to go up there all drunk and slur through his set. But no, he went up there and did a perfect job, which is really, that's phenomenal. It's phenomenal, but that's maybe the really scary thing about like drug addiction is that you can just fool everybody. And people are like, yeah!
That is. Yeah, and it's funny because, like, I feel like I'm bad at picking up on it. Like, someone will be like, hey, that person's drunk, or hey, that person's, like, on this, and I'm like, really?
Oh, yeah.
I don't pick up on it.
Yeah. If you're ever around people who are going to the bathroom a lot, Max, they're probably doing cocaine.
Good to know. Good to know. I'll store that one in my brain for future reference. So wait, how long? I don't know if I've ever asked you this. Maybe I have. How long has Mathien been a band?
The idea of having it as a band didn't come until like 2005. This guy Nick Williams, he's your cousin down there in Murfreesboro, Illinois. Yeah, this guy Nick Williams, he played the trombone, and he was in the music building. So I was in the music building too. I had already been recording under the name Mathien, so I just used my last name when I was uploading music to the internet. And then I was passing out CDs too. I was like burning CDs all the time. And then, unbeknownst to me, there are other people in Carbondale burning my CDs and sort of passing them around to people as well.
Whoa!
Yeah, this guy JP, who saved me from the cave when I was in that cave. This kid.
That cave story is crazy.
Yeah.
Should you tell that?
I don't
story?
care. I'll tell it.
Yeah, you should tell that cave story. I feel like I wanted you to talk about that.
But yeah, I'll tell it later if you bring it up again. But
yeah.
But
I'll bring it back up.
But yeah, a lot of people heard my music down there. The recordings I was making in my dorm. A lot of the recordings were already I had recorded in high school when I was my parents would go run errands or something, and I would cut vocals in the living room. All recorded on this old compact computer. And Nick Williams, he was a trombonist in the music building, and he was like, "Hey, I want to put together a band that'll play this stuff." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool, you know." But I really was kind of like, "Okay, it probably won't happen for whatever reason, because nothing ever does happen." And
yeah,
especially in college, you know.
It is kind of hard to like say it and then to bring it together. It's like,
yeah,
like you said, especially in college.
But he put together a whole band, and he said, "Meet me at we overtook one of these rehearsal rooms in the music building on a Saturday when no one was there." I was sort of worried a teacher was going to come in and be like, "Hey, you guys can't do this," or whatever, but we pulled it off. But the crazy thing is what I was only just like recording it. I was only recording Mathien stuff because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be the artist. I wanted to record it. And then I did maybe think sometime, oh yeah, maybe I could play this stuff live with a band. That would be cool. And I had already been in bands in high school and punk rock groups or whatever. And it was the first time I like walked into a room and everyone was just sort of looking at me, and I was like, I have to like be a leader right now. And so I was like this accidental situation for me. I was like, okay. I had a drummer, a bassist, and a horn section, and then I played the guitar, of course. We never had a keyboardist until I moved up to Chicago.
Oh.
Yeah.
And now you have the wonderful Ryan.
I had Ryan. Ryan's with me now. There's a few different guys who play with me. Sometimes people aren't available, and so many good musicians in Chicago that it's not a big deal if someone's unavailable.
Right. And I think, okay, going off of that, like that's the coolest thing about you, I think, is that most people that I know, at least, they record with the band, like for their stuff, and that's like pretty typical. But for you, you're not always relying on your band to make the music that you do.
Yeah,
it's like you'll use different like mediums, and I don't think that's like a thing that everybody like necessarily has the like skill set to do. I think it takes a lot of like time. And I think that's the one thing that I thought was really cool about you is like you're always putting out so much music. And until you told me about it, I was like, how does he record with his band this frequently, put out this many songs? Like it was like baffling me for the longest time. I'm like, they must like record like 2-3 times a week, like at this rate. Like what are you? And then you just you find like, you showed me this before, you like find like drum tracks and you work with them. And
yeah, there's a lot of guys there's a lot of guys who record drum tracks. Like there's these guys, Drum Drops, out in London. And also like there's this guy Sam Merrick, my friend Jordan, who plays with Caleb Howley, and he plays with a lot of other people. Like he records drum tracks at home. And yeah, I just find it's a great tool to have if you have the drums to a song and it has the verse and the chorus and the verse and the chorus and then the bridge and the outro or whatever, if you have the drums, you can really just put whatever else you want over it. So that's kind of how I do a lot of the Mathien songs. But also I like to, Greg, my drummer who plays with me here in Chicago.
So good. So good.
Yeah, we like to get together sometimes and mic up his drums. And then it's like a hangout. We just do that. And then I bring all the drum tracks back to this room and just record Mathien songs over them. And I can put anything I want over the drums. And it takes the pressure off Greg too. Because because if you're in a recording setting with a band, sometimes it's like, I've been in those settings where you want to kind of coach the drummer into playing something different, or playing faster or slower, or playing to the click better. And it's like, that shit is not fun for drummers. I've seen it. They don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like a really tedious thing.
Yeah, it takes the fun out of, what makes music great.
So is that a typical way to record then? Is that like a thing that a lot of other musicians do? They go off like the drum track, or that's like specific to you, right?
I don't know if it's specific to me, but it's the way I do it, and it's not the way a lot of people do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like it makes sense. Like, the more I listen to your music, and the more I think about it, it makes sense, because it, like, a lot of your, I feel like a lot of your lyrics, like, line up so well, too, with that, and this all kind of, like, stems from the drums, and it gives it that, like, that feel. I mean, like, especially, like, Pass the Vino, I think is, like, thinking about that song, especially, I'm like,
yeah,
I totally hear
those
it.
are programmed. I programmed those drums.
That's crazy.
And there is a sample that the hi-hats are a sample from a disco record. I won't say which one it is. I don't want to get in trouble.
See, that's a whole nother beast in itself that I think when you told me about it, and we filmed that video about it, where you did some of the sampling and took from another track and made it your own. That is another beast in itself, because I have friends that do that have spent, and I guarantee you've spent like years on end doing this stuff too, because that's like a lot to sample, even like one track, right? Like, how long does it take you to do just like one track?
Oh, to sample?
Mm-hmm.
Not long. Yeah,
but it, like, you had to learn that. You had to learn how to do it.
Like sampling because sampling is really broad. Because sampling could be like, you could do it the way that P. Diddy did it, and you just literally take 2 bars from the Police song or whatever, and then you just put some drums over it, and you make a hit out of it. So that's sampling.
Right.
Then there's another, like DJ Premier started doing this thing where he would take the bass, the kick drum from this record, the snare from this record, hi-hat from this record. Now he's got a drum set, and then now he's got a piano from this record, but he's got a bass from this other record, and he's creating a whole new like orchestra of pre-recorded sounds, and it's like collage art. It's like Warhol or something.
Yeah,
it's not Warhol. It's someone else, but it's.
That's the thing. Go ahead.
That's just what like when I discovered DJ Premier and DJ Shadow, that's when I realized, wow, sampling is not just a machine that just like takes a loop from a song. You can use it as a musical tool, an amazing musical tool. There's actually a lot of sampling on the song Gambit Yugoslav. There's samples woven into a piece that sounds really sort of live.
It does. Yeah. That song is so good. I was listening to that in my car the other day. It's such a good song.
I feel like I was a mad scientist when I made that. It's got mad scientist vibes.
It does. And it's like, I feel like it's good. Like, I've listened to that song in the morning, but I've also listened to it at like midnight when I'm driving home too.
Yeah.
It's like one of those like all day, all night type of songs. Like,
yeah, I'm gonna make it home without falling asleep on I-88.
Yeah, that was me. That was me.
I hate
going down to I-88.
I hate driving sleepy so much. It's so scary.
Same. I always turn on something really epic. But like something I wouldn't typically listen to. I like sometimes, like, it'll be like weird stuff that I'll turn on sometimes. Like, I mean, I guess it's not weird, but I'll turn on like that Suicidal Tendencies group.
Nice.
And I'll just like blast it at full volume. I'm like, if I hear this, like my eyes have to be like wide open. Like there's no way like I'm gonna fall asleep to this. You know what I mean?
Maybe I should listen to Korn when I'm sleepy.
It might work.
I loved Korn, man.
Yeah, you should probably try that. I try to avoid not. I don't know. I just try to avoid the whole being sleepy while driving situation.
Yeah,
it's not a good combo.
I'll pull over. I'll go pull over and just like take a nap behind a Burger King. I don't give a shit, man. I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna die because I wanted a nap.
I've pulled over a few times for sure.
Yeah.
And you like wake up and you're like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Pardon me, man.
What were we? Yawning.
I'm sleeping. Just talking about it, you know.
Jeez, we need to brighten up the conversation. Not talk about sleep.
I know. Talking about sleep, the insurrection. I just always go dark, man. I don't know why.
Okay, that's a good segue because Chris actually doesn't sleep. Let it be known that Chris doesn't sleep. He stays up till. We were just talking about this. You stay up till like 3, 4 a.m. and you're working on your music like a madman.
Well, there's really I don't really work that often at that time. What happens is I'll work on music from like 9 a.m. to like 5 or 6, and then I'll eat, and then I'll go up and I'll start laying in bed and turn on the TV so I can relax. And then I turn the TV off and shut my eyes, and then all the music is still going through my head. So I just go back downstairs. And it's not like...
That's so sick.
And it is energy that I would otherwise be using to, like, stress out, I think, and my mind would be racing. So I have to do it. Like, I have to go downstairs and keep on working or creating. And then I'll get tired around, 5 o'clock. And then I'll sleep, and then I'll wake up. It'll be 10 or 11. That's 6 hours, and then I can start making music again at 11.
So crazy. Yeah, that's another thing that you do too that I think separates you from like. I mean, I do have other friends that do it too, but I've talked to you the most about it. Is you make music for like other people and other brands on top of your own music. So that in itself is crazy because I know that's basically your job too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah. When did you actually, I never asked you this. When did you realize that was like your thing to do? Because like for me at least, it like took me like, I was kind of in a situation of like, all right, these jobs are not like, these 9-to-5s aren't like sending me letters back. So I was like, well, it's in my hands now. Like, that was kind of what it was for me. Yeah, but wow. I don't know what it was for you.
For me, I was working at Starbucks in Tennessee, and I had moved to Tennessee from Chicago because I sort of screwed up a little bit. Like, I didn't screw up. I shouldn't say that. That's
Yo, guys, I screwed up.
No, in a way I did, but basically I was in an unhealthy situation, both with business and like in my personal life, and so I had to like sort of divorce myself of everything that my life was. And then my parents had moved to Tennessee, so I just moved and lived with my parents for a couple of years and saved up working at Starbucks.
Smart.
Yeah, it was really hard for me though because I had this whole like identity of in my own head I was like this rock and roll star, I guess. And putting on the green apron, it sort of takes that vibe away real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was good. It was really good for my ego, to have to just, hey, go make money doing something normal, like making coffee for people, you know. It was good for me. But while I was there, you know, of course I had my studio in my room, and Nick, my friend Nick Castle, just called me out of the blue one day, and he was like, and he's a videographer, and he said, you know, and he's a DJ, and he's a lot of other things, and he's a sweetheart.
Nick does everything.
He does. Like, he really actually does. He like designs clothes. Anyways, I could go for days talking about Nick. He's great. But yeah, he called me and he was like, yeah, I'm going to New York to shoot this thing for Puma. Can you make some beats for it? Like some hip hop beats? And I was like, yeah. And he sent me over, like, I think he sent me a little edit, and then I made some beats to it and sent something back to him. And it was like 40 minutes after he had called me, and he was like, whoa. He was like, dude, he's like, I was having a hard time finishing that edit. Well, I guess I messed my story up because I guess he had already gone to New York.
Yeah.
But so it was already shot when he called me. But yeah, he was like, I was having a hard time with the edit. I wasn't inspired by it. And he's like, once I had the music, it was really easy to start cutting stuff together. I'm sure you know how that goes.
Yeah.
And then he said, we, you know, we don't have a great budget, but and I was like, well, what does that mean? And then they paid me a lot of money. So I was like, that's a low budget. Okay, great. So I think really for me, like, that's when it hit me, like, oh, you don't have to, like, you can just like keep on doing this, and then you don't have to work at Starbucks. And it was like maybe a year and a half later, I was driving. I remember I can still see like what the road looked like and everything. It was a really sunny day, and I was driving to work a shift at Starbucks, and I was tallying up in my head. I was doing my accounting because I don't write anything down. So I was just like thinking about where am I? Like, okay, I got this check coming from this person. Blah, blah, blah. I think you do that when you're broke. I was definitely broke and like trying to figure it all out in my head. And then I realized I was like, I got a lot of different kind of streams coming in here. And then I was like, wait a second, how much money did I make at Starbucks? And I was like, it was like $240. Like, oh my God. And I think I parked my car and I walked in and I told my boss, like, hey, 2 weeks, I'm outie.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because then you realize how much more money is in it than your one shift at Starbucks.
And then I felt like an artist again. It took a minute for me to like sort of get back into that identity, but the identity aspect of it is crucial because, you know, when I was working at Starbucks, people around town, they saw me as like the coffee guy. And if that's what you're doing with your time, that's just what people are going to associate with you. Oh, or maybe you're the coffee guy who also makes beats and plays guitar. Oh, cool, you got a couple YouTube views. All right. But if you completely, like, I really would recommend, as long as you feel like you can like psychologically handle it and financially handle it, I would definitely recommend quitting your job and just focusing all of your energy into your art. But I only did that when I got to the point where it wasn't that scary, but it was still scary.
Yeah, I feel like you have to feel that risk at first a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't not feel it, like, for sure.
Yeah, because you're like, really dependent on people like calling you and giving you the gig.
Yeah.
Who says that they're gonna do that? Nobody.
Yeah, nobody does. Yeah. They don't tell you, and you don't. For me at least, I didn't go to school learning about this, or no one like taught me about this. So I never really knew how it worked until I heard a couple friends talking about it, and I was like, well, how are you like getting? How is this happening? And they're like, I just know someone that would call me, and I'd be like, so that's what you rely on, like that? Because I'm like all for like consistency.
Yeah.
But then once I realized how it goes, I was like, okay, I can get behind this a little bit.
Yeah, but for that one person that calls you, you gotta find 6 other people that are also calling you.
Yeah, I know.
Because something could happen where that one person who's calling you, is giving you your gigs. Maybe they don't want to do what they're doing anymore, and they quit their job, and now you don't have a job.
Like, definitely has happened to me before.
Yeah. So just trying to, like, in a very genuine and sincere way, establish like friendships and connections with people that can help you.
That's the best way to put it. It's so funny. I try to explain this to people all the time when I'm like talking about it, because you do have to establish like a genuine, actual friendship for this person to like believe in you and want to like be around you and work around you.
Yeah.
Because if it's just you talking to them, having like a dry conversation like one time or another, they're probably gonna know someone else. Like, they're probably not gonna have a good solid foundation to remember you by.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, like, this is weird to say, but I feel like sometimes just the foundation of like knowing you is a reason they hit you up. I mean, like, whether or not they're like totally about your work, they're just like, oh, hey, I love working with this guy. I love how he like gets along or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then they start to like build that trust in you over time. And I think that's how it like tends to work for me, at least.
That's great.
Like, yeah. And I think it helps me too believe in like my own self too at times. I don't know, like, just through working on different, and you start to work on the same stuff with this, or like different stuff with the same people.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, it's a fun thing to do. Holy cow. Okay, I just now thought about the I don't know why, this is totally horrible segue. You should tell the cave story.
I was at a cave in Southern Illinois, and I was living in Chicago at the time, but they gave me a train ticket to come down there, a train ticket and a stay at a motel in Murfreesboro. But really the plan was I was gonna like camp out. They allegedly had a tent there. I was gonna like camp out and play 2 nights in a row at this thing called Cave Fest or Cave Stock. I can't remember which it was. And when I got there, some of the people that were throwing the fest, they were like selling meth and stuff. They were selling meth and smoking meth, and I had never been around meth before, and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. I was in my early 20s. Like, I was pretty young. Maybe mid-20s. Maybe I was about your age, actually, Max. I was about 24, 25.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was old enough to know that I shouldn't have taken acid that day, but I did. I took acid. It was like pretty much right before I performed the first night, and I finished my set, and all hell sort of broke loose. Where like there's a fight that broke out, and this guy pulled a knife on another guy, and so the police ended up coming. And I remember when the police came, you had to drive down this like big long hill to get through to get inside where the performance area was. And these cops get out, and I remember, I'm standing there, and I'm looking at all these like hippie people started running into the woods and throwing their drugs everywhere. And I just saw this guy almost get stabbed too, and I was like, what the hell? I sort of wanted to get out of there, but I didn't know if I should stay and just like perform for the next day too, because I needed the bread. And
yeah.
I was sort of like, I had a Spartan attitude about everything back then. I was like, I'm just gonna, tough it out, see what happens. But I was in a very dangerous, like, volatile scenario, and it didn't really hit me until I looked at the cop. I looked at one of the cops, and I just read fear all over her face. I was like, she looks terrified. And the cops left, and then I called this kid JP. And JP worked at Subway JP worked at Subway.
Subway JP.
Yeah. JP was in high school when we were in college, and he was burning Mathien CDs and putting them into the bags at Subway. So when you go to the Subway, you get a sandwich, you get a Mathien CD. And I
That's so cool.
Didn't know who he was. I met him at my friend's house because my friend threw a party, and they were like, "Yeah, this kid JP. He's a huge Mathien fan. He puts your CDs and all these in the Subway sandwich." And I was getting MySpace messages from people who heard my music at Subway, and I was like, "Is Subway playing my music over the speakers and not telling me about it? This is so crazy." And no, it was this guy JP who was just like, he turned a lot of people onto my music, and then he became my security guard because he was really big, and he never fought because no one would ever fight him. He was that imposing. But
so he saved you from the tunnel?
He saved me from the cave.
The cave, yeah.
It was a tunnel. It was tunnel-esque. I called JP after I hadn't talked to him in like 3 years, and I called him and I was like, "Hey JP, it's super sketch over at the cave. Can you come and get me?" And he's like, "You're at the cave right now?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "All right." And he pulled up. It was like 2, 3 in the morning, if I remember. And he showed up like a half hour after I called him, and I went up to the promoter and I was like, "Hey, I'm not performing tomorrow. I'm getting out of here." And he's like, "Wait, why?" And I was like, "Dude, there's people pulling knives on people. There's people smoking meth. People selling meth." I'm like, it's not my vibe. I got to get out of here. And then watching his body language, like when I said that to him, I thought he was gonna like maybe get mad, but he like looked around and he was just like, "Yeah, pretty fucked up over here." And so then JP took me back to when he lived with his mom in this town called DeSoto, which is right north of Carbondale. So we went and stayed with his mom, but I didn't sleep because I was on LSD. You can't sleep when you're on it. So his mom just came out and started talking to me. I talked to his mom for I either talked to her for like 2 hours or I talked to her for like 4 minutes. I don't remember. I don't know. And
oh my god.
Yeah. So yeah, I was all out of sorts. In a great mood though. After all that, I was feeling great, And so then she goes to bed. Everyone goes to sleep, and it starts getting light out, and I start getting antsy because I'm in these. I sort of like, I want to get out of this lady's house. Felt weird.
Right.
Like, okay. So I started calling people I knew, and I called this guy Wahid, who lives in Carbondale, and I was like, "Hey, what are you up to?" He picks up the phone. I'm like, "What are you up to right now?" And he's like, "I'm at the Carbondale Unitarian Church right now. They're having a gay pride event. You should bring your guitar and sing a song. I'm sure they'd let you sing." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds cool." I had my guitar, and I walked to this church. I looked it up on Google Maps or wherever, and I might have had to look it up on a computer at that time. I don't remember, but walked.
Maybe MapQuest.
It was like an hour. I think it was an hour walk, and I walked all the way from DeSoto to the Carbondale Unitary Church.
Oh my god!
Yeah, and I was, under the influence. We were walking in there. They had crafts. They had free AIDS tests, like mouth swab AIDS tests. This guy came up to me, and I was, he came up to me, and he was like, "Hey, you want an AIDS test?" And I was like, "No!" And and there was a drag show. They had a drag show on the on like a tractor bed on a tractor bed. They're playing like George Michael and doing it was a full drag show outside of this church, and I was like, "Dang, what a cool church! They're cool with gay people. That's amazing."
Yeah, that's it.
And someone comes up to me and he's like, "Yeah, you're gonna perform right after Blanche Dubois." Blanche Dubois was this legendary drag queen in Carbondale in the 80s and the 90s, and after that, I'm sure too. But people in town knew who she was, so I was like, "Wow, I'm playing after Blanche Dubois. This is sort of legendary." And then the sky turned black. Like you ever been somewhere and a storm comes in and it's just like, whoa, a storm came out of nowhere. You could see it. Like the clouds were just coming in so fast.
Yeah.
And then someone goes, "Cover everything up!" It starts raining, with lightning and thundering, and people are throwing tarps over stuff. And then, you know, a lot of people went home. A lot of people were like huddled under their, in their cars. A group of people were huddled underneath the awning of the church. And I was one of those people. I was one of like maybe 12 or 13 people that were huddled under the actual church. And then someone was like, "Hey, the show must go on." And they moved the drag shows inside the church. So then now I'm sitting in one of the church pews. High on LSD. Watching a drag show.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Even in that moment, like it was maybe something, when I look back at it now, I'm like, that's the craziest shit that ever happened, really.
Yeah.
But even in that moment, I knew it was the craziest shit that ever happened. I was like, this is wild. And I was really happy too. I was like, this is such a great sequence of events for me. And I just happened to be like, I just happened to call that guy, you know? And then yeah, and then I ended up in this church watching a drag show, melting into the pew.
Oh my God.
And then I played.
Every time.
Then I played. There's a picture of me. I could send it to you.
Yeah, you should do that.
Church.
That anytime, like the first time you told me this story, I like honestly was sitting there like an hour after it and like had to like reprocess it. Because it's crazy. Like, I feel like this is, like, one of those dreams you, like, wake up from and you're like, why did all these things happen? You, like, try to piece it together and you're like, this does not make any sense. But it baffles me that this is, like, a real-life thing that happened with you. It's a crazy, specific story.
Yeah, and it's all because I took a weird gig, you know? Took a weird gig and then ended up... I'm lucky I didn't get in trouble or like hurt or something like that. But that's
what I'm saying.
You know, you don't really get into those. Not to say that something bad can't happen to you if you're just like minding your own business, because it can. But you know, I wasn't getting in fights with people and pulling knives out. So.
But they were in the background.
Yeah, or in the foreground.
Or yeah, in the foreground. Yeah. Holy. Did that like experience changed what you thought of like performing at all? Like after it, were you like hesitant of something like similar to happen again, or did you like did it change how you thought?
Yeah, I was kind of like I was almost willfully naive at that time. I would play anywhere, because I wanted to get heard so bad, and I just didn't. Yeah, now? No, no way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're well established now, so you're able to kind of like I feel like you're able to have a better selection now of like, all right, I can play this or I don't want to do this.
Yeah, so being able to say no to people is really it's a privilege, but also like
it is
also just being able to have a conversation with somebody who wants to hire you and being like, hey, I need this, and this, because you want me to do this, and this.
Right.
So, yeah. That's the story about me tripping acid in the cave and then ending up in a church watching a drag show.
And then you wrote a song about it. Let's not
Freaky Times.
Skim over that.
Yeah, Freaky Times.
Yeah, Freaky Times. You should check it out because I think out of context you might like piece it together a little bit through the song, but it like. That's why I wanted you to tell the story, because I think it's like worthy of having that background info.
Yeah.
And then to hear the song, it's like, whoa, this guy really wrote a song about this.
Yeah, it was wild. It's wild that it happened to me, but when I explain, you know, if I tell everybody, I watched a drag show in a church while on LSD, they'll just be like, you're a crazy person. But if you tell it, and they might still think that obviously too, but you know, if you tell the story like I just did from the beginning to the end, you gather all the facts, It's like not that far-fetched, oddly.
No, it's not.
The trippiest thing for me was the storm. When that storm came and forced everyone to go inside, I was like, something's watching. I thought they were watching me, but that's sort of selfish. They were watching everything.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's really crazy to think about. I like can't wrap my head around the story still.
Yeah, it's just a chain of events that it was one thing after another. And there's another whole thing that happened after that too, but it's definitely, I can't go on the podcast about it.
It's a story for another
use your
time.
Imagination.
Yeah. I gotta reset my camera. Yeah, I will. I will.
Let me know what you come up with. I'll tell you if it's true.
Yeah, I'll sit on this for a few days. Yeah, that was another thing I actually wanted to ask you about, because I've loosely heard you talk about this before, because your songwriting process is like I think last time I had talked to you, time before that, you were talking about how you kind of have to be in like your own little zone to like write your music, like your own whatever it is, like room or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can't be like distracted by other people, which I don't know if that's like, is that like pretty typical for songwriting, or is that like?
Yeah, I'd imagine so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, like, is it because it helps you? Like, is it just because out of like focusing? I guess it's like me editing. I wouldn't want anyone else like in the room while I'm editing.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing. I am really tough because I'm always listening to everything. So if I like go to, if it's really hard for me to pay attention in grocery stores because I'm hearing all of the different noises when I walk in.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing like the baggers talking to each other. You know, I hear the announcement on the thing, and I'm just really, really paying such close attention to any auditory thing that's happening. So yeah, if there's people like hanging out and talking and stuff, it's just it would be really hard. But you know, it's different if it's a bunch of musicians and we're making music together. It's not a problem. But if people are there to like hang out and watch me make music, it's not gonna be fun for me.
Do you write? Yeah, do you write? I guess maybe I know this, maybe I don't. Like, do you write all in one sitting, or does it take you like a couple days to write one song?
Yeah, sometimes I write up to a point where I know I'm going to finish the song. So I write the first verse and the chorus, and then after that I'm like, all right, I can go to sleep, or I'll write the rest of it tomorrow, and I know it'll come out in an hour or two. So it's sort of a security deposit for me. It's like, I made it to the hook, so I know I have a chorus of the song and I like it, so we're good. I'm gonna easily be able to write to this tomorrow, and then I'll either go do something else or I'll not do music at all for a few hours.
You've really mastered it too. Just that, like the volume that you write songs, like I could never do that in a million years. Even if I was like going to school for it, I could never do that. Like the volume at which you like write, that's just so crazy. You like do the writing, the full production of the song, like you're like a master. Anybody that I talk to that talks about you says this too. Or like Chris is like the music mastermind here.
That's a cool thing.
It's just
that's I guess that's what I wanted to be, but it's also just how I am, really. It's just what I do. It's really not trying to sound self-important or anything like that.
No.
It's second nature to me.
And you have this basement. You have like the basement set up too that works out. I mean, you have like the congas back on the wall there. You have like keys at hand. You have like all these you have that drawer full of random instruments that make cool sounds. You have your guitar. You have your bass. You have like all these things that are just like around you. You have your computer. You have Logic. Like you just have this like perfect setup to make it all happen in your house, which is, I think, really cool because I feel like a lot of people might not have access to that stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah, I definitely, when I first started, I only had the music program on my computer, so everything was like beats, everything was just, I was making the beat in the actual DAW And then over the years is able to acquire, a few instruments, a lot better gear, and it's definitely a privilege because it definitely gives you if you need to do stuff for clients, it gives you an edge,
Yeah. I guess I know we're kind of like a little bit over an hour here.
That's okay.
I think we're like maybe at like the hour 5 mark, maybe somewhere.
It says 102
on
my phone.
102, sweet.
Yeah, I got a piece soon, so this is good.
Yeah, we should. I like to bring it to a close on an advice thing at the end. And I guess, what would be one thing that you would tell to somebody who's getting into this, as basic as that sounds, someone that's going to be a full-time musician? What would be your advice?
Don't rely on, and I think this might go across the board for whatever industry you're in, but don't rely on people who do the same thing as you to help you. Don't expect your artist friend to help you with your artist career, because the people that have helped me become a better artist, okay, maybe a couple of them were artists, but most of them are people that aren't doing what I'm doing, like for instance Nick, Bounce Castle. The people that end up going are going to need you are people that can't do what you do. So
and I feel like you have to have a business understanding too behind this stuff.
Yeah, but
right?
that all comes, for me, that all came from just working. I didn't know what I was supposed to be paid until someone paid me a lot, and I was like, oh wow, that's a lot of money. And then now I can be like, oh, I'm not taking anything less than that ever again. So it was just sort of for me, it was just you got to just jump in and start seeing what happens. And maybe you get screwed over a couple deals or whatever at first, and sometimes you still get screwed over when you're a little further along your career, but it won't matter as much then because you'll have a nice little sort of shock absorber pad.
Yeah,
because you got other streams of income or whatever like that, and it's not as big of a deal.
Keeps you floating.
Yeah, but getting screwed over sucks. That's my advice.
Yeah.
Try not to get screwed over.
Nice. I like that. I think that's some solid advice. All right. Well, I think that could be a good note to leave off on, unless you had any other final thoughts you wanted to wrap up on.
I'm sorry, Mom, if you are mad that I talked about doing drugs.
Yeah. I hope she doesn't listen to it. She can listen to all of it except for the drugs part.
She knows everything. I don't know if she really knows everything that happened in that story, but my mom pretty much knows all the stuff, so we should be all right.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I think we can leave off on that. What a weird way to end it.
I'm sorry, Max. Say something cool.
Sorry, Mom.
Is this are you doing Eminem?
I don't know. I'm not good at like I said, I like to leave off on the advice part of it, but I'm not good at having that final thought on it. I'm just
well, the thing is it is hard because it's the same sensation as when you're out with your friends and you're having a really good time. And then you're standing out in the cold, about to walk to the train station or whatever. And you're like, why are we all standing here still shivering and trying to think of funny stuff to say?
Yeah. Happens my whole life.
Well, on that note,
well, on that note, we'll bring this to a close. So, thanks for listening to episode 8, and thanks for coming on the podcast. Appreciate it.
It was fun. I really liked it.
Glad to hear that. Hopefully I will bring you back on at a later time. Like to bring people back, and we'll do a check-in, see what you're up to later on.
Yeah, maybe I'll grow a beard the next time. It'll be all long, and I'll look like some sort of we gotta go.
We gotta go. We're out of here. All right. Thanks for listening to episode 8, and stay tuned for episode 9. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.